You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to another conversation of the Afro Social Workers Forum. And today we are having a very, very important subject. The question is, how often have you done the things you really did not want to do, but you did as a result of the pressure of the sickness we are calling people pleaser syndrome? And today, with my colleague, we're going to be dealing with this conversation. And of course, we're going to help you, myself, who is suffering from the disease of what will the people say or think of me. Welcome with me, my colleague, and of course, my friend, Batemona-Abeke. Ma'am, you're welcome. How are you today?
Thank you very much, Vera. Thank you for having me once again. And I'm happy and I'm very delighted to share this topic with you and with the whole world today. My name is
This is a very, very important topic.
Yes.
And before you continue, I know that many are live. Many have told us that it's a very important topic, and that's why I'm happy because in our last conversation, you said, "Hey, this is a topic that's important, and let's have a discussion on it." And that's why I'm so delighted to see you. And of course, like usual, you look very beautiful, ma'am. Tell us more about yourself, and again, the motive of our conversation today.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Batemona-Abeke, a social worker and diversity trainer and trauma consultant. I live and work in Cologne, and I am representing an institution called Pamoja Africa here in Cologne. Pamoja Africa is an institution that we have founded. We experts from different African countries, and we have taken it to be our responsibility to educate people when it comes to a bringing of children to anti-racism and anti-discrimination work, empowerment, and also we conducted trainings, everything aimed at empowering people of African descent here in this town, in this country, and also being like bridges between the African people and the government institutions and German institutions in this country. I'm very happy to also be one of the founders of Afro Social Workers Forum. And this is a forum consisting of social workers from African background working and living in Germany. And based on the experiences that we have gone through or we have seen with our people, we have decided to bring this experience here live on Facebook TV so that we can try to reach the majority of the people and to impact lives based on the experiences that people are going through in this country. So every time we pick a topic based on the many topics that are piling up, that we have seen that they need to be addressed crucially and very urgent, so as to transform the society because of the sufferings that our people are going through in this country. So last week we had a topic on dealing with alcoholism, and today we are dealing with the topic of what people will say about me syndrome. We are calling it a killing disease that is killing and that is affecting most of our people in this society. And I would want today to talk about what is this syndrome and where is this syndrome coming from, the history of this syndrome. And then we are going to talk about what this syndrome means to the affected persons. And then I'm going to talk as an expert, as a social worker, what Afro social worker can do to help those that are suffering from this what will people say about me syndrome, and what we can do to ourselves, those that are affected. Thank you very much, Vera. So I will start by first saying that the topics that we bring is not because of one person, but it's when a topic keeps, after many years of experiences and statistics, writing, counseling people and seeing what is affecting them, then we feel that it's okay to bring some topics here. Now, most of us are so concerned about what other people think or say about ourselves than what is important actually in our lives. We are addressing this matter today as experts because we have seen how this syndrome has paralyzed and has tampered with the personal growth of our people, and it's causing a permanent stagnation of our members of our different societies that we find ourselves. I would like to speak firstly about the history of what people will say about me syndrome. Many of us can say it's a gossip, and that it's people who don't have who are not self-conscious on themselves, that they are the ones that care who is saying what about them. But I want to say that it has an history. Back home, or some of us come from a very collective society, or most of us are coming from this from the so-called collective societies, and we from our upbringing. And we have been born and we've been brought up to know that we need to belong in a community, and that belonging to a community is a blessing. This is very true. Now, this blessing can turn into a curse if one does not conform to the norms of this community. We have had people going into anxiety. We have had people going into depression. We have had people killing themselves because they have been in loneliness. They are living in isolation because of being isolated from the society, from the community, simply because they don't meet with the demanding demands of the community. And this is why we are here today, to break these chains, to break this silence and say, it's not important to care or to matter what people think and say about you. You need to just be empowered, to empower yourself and stand on your own and be so strong that you can rebel, or you can protect yourself about from any attack that is coming from outside, telling you how you should live, how you should dress, how you should act, how you should eat, how you should do this and this, because at the end of the day, it brings confusion. My last statement before I hand over to you is, I do not want anyone to confuse being advised to this what people will say syndrome. There are two differences. There is advice that is constructive, and this what people say or think of me syndrome is destructive, it's not constructive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It's always a privilege to hear you talk about some of these conversations. And when I was thinking about it today, and I was thinking in a lot of challenges going on within me too, I was thinking, what do I really think? Do I really care what people think about me or say about me? Does it really matter? And I came to realize that, of course, it really matters to many, many people. Now, the question is, why does it really matter to many people what people think about them and what people say about them? Is that the same thing like gossiping? Someone is gossiping about you. Someone is saying something behind your back. Is that the same thing? What is this? What people say syndrome? What does it really mean precisely, with some examples?
Actually, what do people say about me is, we can see it as a gossip. It is an advanced form as a gossip and control, wanting to have control on somebody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel these are my interpretations, that it's trying to have influence on people, and by trying to influence, to please people so that you can belong, so that people will not gossip about you, so that people will not say you are not remaining in the norms that the society sets, right? And mind you, some of these norms are good, some others are not good to oneself. So that we always have to differentiate, is this something good? So if you are being if you are not teaching your children well, if you're not educating your children well in terms of manners, and people correct you, then this is something different. But if you are this kind of mother or a father that is always concerned about the children, you're taking your children to activities, you mind your children's business, and because of this, maybe you may not be having enough time to go to parties or community meetings, then and the people will now put pressure on you because you are following up on your family, on your children's things, then I think that one is destructive, you know. So this is why we always have to differentiate what we are really talking about.
I really have to, I really have to go back there again because I'm one of those who really have to deal with a lot of work, lot of bringing family together, bringing work together, business together. And it means that you really have very little time to be with other people in the community, right?
Yeah.
And then we have in the culture where I come from, there's what they call the Njangi. So people go, if I lost someone, you will come, and if you lost someone, I go to you and all that. So people have been doing that over the years, and usually I realized that it was just a collection of funds and nothing particular. So I decided to myself, oh, I don't really have all this time to go and do night vigils for dead people, and therefore instead of going there, I'm just going to send my own contribution. And someone told me, but what do you think people are thinking about you? Don't you think it is not too good? Because when you're doing like that, when it happens to you, people too will not come close to you because you have been doing like that too. And I really had to think about that over and over. And then I told the person, I give my support how I can. And the others, I really do not bother. If I die or someone dies, you can put them in the anywhere or leave them to the government to do what they want to do. But now, when you brought this topic, I was thinking to myself, wow, how many people really suffer for this? I remember when I was to do social work, those who came from Cameroon, from Africa, most of the time they did what we call machine and power and IT, informatic, and all that. And I was like the first person that came really from Africa in those years to do directly social work from Cameroon. And so many people were saying, what kind of course is that? What are you thinking you are doing? And everybody was really like, talking behind, what kind of course is she doing? What kind will she ever get a job and all that? You know? And when they kept saying that, of course I heard, and I said, well, if I don't get a job, I'm going to create one. So any of it, I'm inside. Now, it really doesn't bother me, but many people suffer for this. How can we, how is the effect of this gossip, of this community, which is on one side caring, right? But on the other side, destructive. How can we help people who have suffered as a result of, I don't want what people will say? I mean, we see that in marriages that are suffering violence. I mean, women are being beaten, men are being beaten. And then when you say, just take a time of, I don't mean divorce, separation, so that you can get healed. And then they say, what will people see? So my question is, how do we overcome this syndrome? And what are the offers that social workers have for such people who have gone through the trauma of what will people say?
Yes. So first of all, I will start with what you talked about, Jangi, and I don't know what this means, but I suspect this is merry-go-round, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. It sounded like merry-go-round because in different countries, in Nigeria it's called Isusu, in Congolese language it's called Likelemba, in
Mhm.
Hindi it's called Chama, you know. So
Okay.
in different countries, it has different names, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very interesting. Mostly women do it, but also men are going into it. So I understand now when I talk about these Jangibis merry-go-round here in Europe, it's actually a way of meeting because we are living in isolation, we are living in loneliness, we don't have parties like back home, we don't have celebrations the way we have back home because of different reasons, because we don't have maybe the rooms to, we cannot afford to rent these rooms, the work is so demanding, so that we hardly have time for this, or the finances even to throw a party like back home. Most of the people, they just put them, you just need to say you want to do a naming ceremony, and people put money together and check the party is there thrown for you. So here
Mm-hmm.
we are in an individual society. That means everyone carries his or her own cross, more or less. So it makes it very difficult to have those celebrations. So when people try to do this isusu, there's a possibility of, depending on the rules, once in a month they meet, or every 2 weeks they meet, and you just speak your language. Like me, sometimes I feel I miss Swahili, so I want to be among Swahili speaking people because I won't find it everywhere on a daily life. So I think this is not a really a big problem, depending on the understanding. We are having isusus that are even advancing to be circle societies, and they are investing, microfinance. It's you can make your merry-go-round be what you want. So I really support that because it empowers and it brings people together so they come out of isolation. But now, when these things are used and it becomes like a meeting place to scrutinize someone and scatter someone, then the meaning is lost. So there is misuse of this isusu, or misuse of this jangi, as you have said. So that's not what we are talking about today. We are talking about what people, that the person, that an individual is so concerned about what others think or say of them in every step they do, and as a result, then you'll be under so much pressure, so that you live actually in denial, and you are leading two lives. The first life is, maybe, and give you an example, when it comes to finances, it is you don't have a lot of money, but you have to dress so expensively, you have to drive the best car in town, you have to take credit so that you can afford this car, because now it's trend, people are buying houses. You too, you have to put yourself in the category of these buying houses, and as a result you are suffering paying mortgages, because maybe you don't have a promising job, you don't have a good budget for that, so you end up suffering at the end of the day because of the peer pressure, or because everyone is doing something, and if you don't do it, you don't belong, you lose your face. So in the process of wanting to please people, so you will be doing things that are not to your standard, on things that are not maybe important to you at this particular time, so that you won't be seen, or just because you just want to be seen in the society. So that's why we are bringing these topics here, that we think they are very, very important, so that we can strengthen our people to overcome this pressure from our people. And you say, more or less, me first. It's not about what people say. I want to be down to heart. I want to be real. I want to live one life. I don't want to live a double life, and I don't want to live a life outside there of the most dressed person in the society, whereas in the house I don't have food in the fridge. I don't want to own a Cayenne Porsche, yet I cannot fuel it. I have to get credit to fuel it. I don't want to be seen like I am, I don't want to show, it's more or less showing off, because you can't afford these things. You lead a life that is not yours. So this is the process we are talking about.
Now, I want to go back to, thank you, ma'am. I want to go back to back to the Dr. Jerry said, Chama is an economic strategy for women and men to empower themselves. The aspect of the Njangi itself is a good one for empowerment. But when I have to be forced to go for debt in the meeting in the night every time, after which I have worked and I'm so tired and I know that they need my support and contribution, then I think it is important to give my contribution and not always at all, by all means, my presence. So just to add to what Dr. Jerry is saying, that yes, it is a nice way, the Njangi, for contribution to support one another. But the moment it becomes detrimental, because even in the Njangi, people get into the Njangi and they do not have the money to pay for the Njangi. And then you take the somebody's money and you're not able to pay because of the pressure of the society. So it goes back again to the question, why are people pressured? What makes people pressured to do what they did not want to do? What is the fundamental reasons that provokes people to want to please others and not fulfill their real self and their identity?
I think the first thing is the pressure to belong. That
Mm-hmm.
if you don't belong, you're going to be excluded, that you're going to be seen different. And
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to be seen different. You want to conform. You want to be like the others, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the reason. And then it's also a matter of being empowered to say, hey, I don't need that. It could be that it's important, but not for me at this particular time.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the power of saying that I must not be doing what people want and do what I think is right for me myself. So for me, it's a matter of empowerment and also having this courage to also come out and say this is not good for me. This is what I think. And if one is not having this courage, then there is a serious problem because you are going to say what people in pidgin English say, follow, follow. You'll be swayed by every moving wind of doctrine. You don't have a position. So we need to work on this so that we are not swayed. Any wind coming, we are being blown from left to right. It's us and also teaching our young ones to be so stable to stand on their feet. And if you can't afford something, you don't buy it. If
This
you
is interesting.
think this place is not good for you, then don't go it. To encourage people to have this courage to think what is good for them and what is good for everyone else.
Now that this takes me to the question Angelo said, courage is the greatest virtue because only when you are courageous can you even stand for justice, can you even stand for righteousness, can you stand for holiness, can you stand for truth. Now, and we know that courage is good. How do we develop courage to be able to break out from such bondages?
Yes, thank you very much for calling it embodied because it is really embodied. And if we also if we want to go spiritually, actually, most of these things they are not genuine. I mean, we are not real, so it's against even the scriptures. We are being taught to be ourselves for those that are unbelievers. We have to stand by the truth, whatever it is. So it's someone is saying it could be also inferiority complex. Yes, it is inferiority complex because one is not so stable to stand and consider themselves stable, so they are always needing support from the others. So the aim of this program and the aim of bringing this topic today is, remember, we've been having a series of talks. We have been talking about we've talked about culture of silence, not talking about things that are affecting us. We have talked about mental illness. We have talked about trauma. We have talked about bringing our children. We talked last week about we talked about boy child, part 1 to 44. We talked about alcoholism last week. So why we are bringing this topic is because if you consider the things that we've talked about in the past, Some of them are coming as a result of not being able to stand on your own feet and decide something, be satisfied with what you have, but peer pressure, wanting more and wanting to please. So as a result, you end up suffering all the time. So this is a very important topic, and one may be wondering, why are social workers um, talking about things like this? Because this is what is eating our society that we are in here. So you've talked about yourself. Myself, I have a lot of stories that I can bring here. That if you don't do what people do, if you don't conform, then you are attacked. And so it takes the grace of God, and it takes a lot of courage to stand and call something wrong a wrong, and to say, this is not right, I will not follow it, even if 100 people are going this direction. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of really a lot of grace to manage this.
And that takes me again to our question on courage, because we know it takes a lot of courage. Now, for me, the question is, now a young lady is listening to us, and she knows that it takes courage to not follow the majority. It takes courage to preserve yourself, and it takes courage to. I mean, let's take the examples here that's happening here in Europe. We know how many people that out of the challenges of the society go to sell themselves, sell their children, and therefore it takes courage to be different. It takes courage not to buy a house when every other person is buying a house, claiming to buy a house. I like that example, when everybody is claiming to buy a house and they don't tell you that they have not owned the house. They just tell you they are buying a house, and you believe they are buying a house, but you forget they are not even the possessor of the house until the house is completely paid. And so you are now under the pressure to go and buy a house when you don't have the real resources to really purchase that house. Question is, how do we develop that muscle of courage that we can overcome no matter the pressure around us?
I think the most important point is how you can have to have a foundation. I think the foundation matters a lot. The upbringing matters a lot, and your identity, who you are. You need to know who you are and where you are coming from, and where you are right. Where are you right now, and where you are going, where you want to go tomorrow. So if these things can be clear to you and know who you are, and also not have why most of the people want to compensate with material needs is because they are void inside them. They don't have a strong foundation in them, and so with these material things they substitute so that they can feel that I can be seen with that. So I think what people need is to have something they can hold on, to be built inside, not in terms of material things or house, car, company, and these things. These things come and go, and they can be wiped out overnight if you are not stable. So the stability of the individual is more important, and then you also don't be greedy in life. You start small and be growing step by step. And this is in this country, the most thing I have come to learn is to have patience. Because patience, if you have patience, everything will come at its own pace, at its own time. As long as you aren't working, as long as you're not under any dubious mission, I think everything will come if you do the right thing. So stability, identity, having a strong foundation is very, very important, so that you cannot be swayed by every moving wind of doctrine. Yes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. This is so powerful. Having the foundation, having that patience that everything will go well. And of course, developing a spiritual backbone so that you can have these things that are immaterial, that you can really be stable without feeling that you must have to do what every other person is doing. And like you said, then you should have an identity, which takes us back to the original question: who are we? It means that until you know who you are likely to fall into the temptation of falling prey to this disease of what will people say about me. Is that so?
This is very true. Or you will be a victim of being defined by others. You yourself, you don't have a definition. You cannot even define yourself. You don't know who you are. So anybody can define you. And remember that we have this root cause of racism, yeah, and colonialism, and after colonialism, the neo-colonialism that is still going on. We talk that this has also tampered with who you are, and so it's very important to define yourself, and this is part of the identity that I talked about, because when you have this, you're very stable. I do remember when I was young, before I left home, my grandmother told me, speak your own language, know who you are, eat your own food. As long as you are doing all these things, you are going to know, you have your own identity, and nobody will try to define you. So there's some truth in that, what my almost 100-year-old grandma told me those days. So identity is very, very important. That's why we started with this our program some months ago. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome all those who are here. We appreciate your time. We have never taken your time for granted. We know that you're here because of the conversation, because you want to share also the information with us. And remember, the ultimate purpose of mankind is, of course, to learn and to grow. And for us, it is important as social workers to handle the conversation, the difficulties, the challenges of the community in a way that is professional. We have the eyes, a neutral one, to observe and then bring the diverse solutions, possibilities with that eye that will not be critical to judge you and to put you under a particular basket. Of course, we are not just provoking those conversations, but we also want to have solutions to those conversations, and of course want to share this platform so that we can learn and grow. Thank you very much for joining us. And today we are having the conversation: what will people say about me or think about me syndrome? A syndrome that originates maybe from the society of communism, where we come together, put things together, and then now we are in a society of individualism, and it gets to clash. Ma'am, my question to you: now that we know, but we also know that the community is a very important factor. The last times we have been discussing of the role of a big family, of the role of the unity of the big family. And now we are living in a society where individualism is so intense. One is tempted to live the life of this is my life, I am minding my business. Is that also somehow not tampering with our identity as a culture, as a people?
I think the moment we cross the sea, we tampered with our identity.
Good,
I
thank you.
Yeah, the identity has to do with where you are, not what you were and now you are elsewhere. So when we are in this, when we cross over the sea and we land in this country, so we have a new identity, and this is the identity of the new country we are in. And so trying also, when we now pick, there are some certain things we are going to pick in this society that we are not going to we are not going to ignore. It will make part of us, right? So so automatic, these things we are picking, even the new language, the new food we are cooking, the new people we are integrating with, the norms of the new society is already being part of us, and changing us somehow. So that is what I think that tampers also with identity. But on the other side, knowing who you are, if you end a strong fundament and then you adapt this new one, you are just going to have a mixture both there. So you will not lose the other one, but you are going to you pick. There are some certain things that we purposely or we intentionally want to maintain, and there are some other things we just say we have to get rid of it. In this program, we have talked about topics of female circumcision. This is a topic that is being condemned worldwide, and everyone may want to agree with me that female circumcision has no place in our society today. In some cultures where it is done, it is told, it is being said, it's part of the tradition, it's part of the identity of that place. So that's why I'm giving this as an example that there are some certain things we have to filter, leave it, even if we feel that they are part of that. Now we have come into this society and we have known maybe this is going to be disastrous for us. So we need to choose and see what it is that we are doing. And I'm seeing someone is wondering what is the relationship of the connection between identity and say syndrome. Yes, because if someone is not stable, if one is not stable in the identity, then you're going to be swayed by or whatever is coming. And this say syndrome or this what will people say or think of me syndrome mostly has to be with how you want to be seen or how people want to see you. So you need to be stable. You need to be to know who you are. Knowing who you are is also part of your identity, and so that you cannot be defined or be meant to be who you are not or who you don't want to be. This is what I can say to the question that is being raised regarding cis syndrome and identity. Yeah.
Very much, ma'am. And that takes me just to this question again. It reminds me exactly like I said when I came to Germany, and I went to the Wirtschaft Informatik class for half a day. And why? Because everybody was studying Wirtschaft Informatik. So I thought, oh wow, if everybody is studying Wirtschaft Informatik, then I can also. And now everyone was telling me, go and study Wirtschaft Informatik, and after that, you're going to have your green card, and after that, everybody was just saying, do it, it's good. And of course, I would have said, go and do it. Indeed, I went and I went there for half an hour, half a day, and then left the course at the end and went back to who I was. So just to confirm to the fact that if you really do not know who you are, you will fall into the trap of what will people say, because at that time everybody was judging and thinking, what is she studying? What is social work? What will she do with social work? What a mistake has she done? So I'm very glad that I did not listen to the people who were discouraging or telling me and thinking that I was going to be better doing Wirtschaft Informatik, when I knew that I was called actually to be a social worker, and I'm gladly a social worker. No other job fulfills me like being what I am doing today and helping people, right? So just to say, yes, thank God I knew actually what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be. And so, yes, it really has a connection. Thank you very much. We have also um, Mr. Richard Sompon, who says, but godliness with contentment is a great gain. Personal contentment is key.
Yes. So this is very true. I really like it. Thank you, Pastor Sompon, for saying this. This is what we are saying at the very beginning, that being contented is very, very important, and, and just accepting yourself. First of all, before the way you are. This is the first step. Accept this is who I am. This is what I have at this level, and everyone has a chance in this society of being who you want. You just need to work on 2 3 things, then things will be fine. This is what I would say. So we are in a consume society where we are really consuming. There are so many things coming, more fashion, things keep changing every day, and this can put us under real pressure. And also at home, I haven't my family people tell me that, yeah, people say look at the way your parents are living, or see how your family members are, and they have a daughter in Europe. This is what you say. I tell these people, don't bring me those stories. Let people say what they want. So when we hear this, we get under pressure, and we want to prove them wrong. So we end up doing things that are not good for us. We end up being under pressure. We end up forgetting our families here. We end up not attending to our children so that we can satisfy those people down there. It's wonderful to help families. I help my family as well, and I know that they need, but let's choose where is it we are helping or putting also help. If my sister or my brother calls me to tell me they need money because they have a party on Saturday, and so they need to have a new outfit, I will ask them, I don't need a new outfit every time I have a party, because you have to help them also to overcome this pressure that every time you go to a new party or to a wedding, you need to have a new dress. I have a nice, expensive dress that I bought 5 or 6 years ago, and I've worn it once or two times here because there are no occasions for such things. So it was really quite expensive, and I learned a big lesson. So sometimes experience is going to teach us the hard way, but we are here offering you free free education, telling free information, telling you that you don't need to be put under pressure because you need a new outfit for every new occasion. And this example can be applied in every area of our life. So think twice. Put your focus on things that are building you and not things that are destroying you. It will be very
Mhm.
important if we can also say the effects of this pressure, this say syndrome, what it does to people. Because like we talked about alcoholism, like we talk about not bringing the children, it is our duty as experts also to enlighten our listeners on what people say syndrome can cause to our lives. The first step or the first effect is sleeplessness. At night, you will have difficulties sleeping because you're busy constructing and thinking how you can overcome that, how you can get this out, you end up suffering. Number two, you will live in isolation because the moment you decide that you cannot follow up on them, or if you can't fulfill that what is being expected outside there, you may be isolated. So the fear of living in isolation, or when it comes to the worst, you get isolated, then you are going to live in anxiety. You're going to be, maybe the symptoms of depression will occur. It can also lead to alcoholism that we talked about last week. It can also result to taking hard drugs to compensate, to forget. So this is why we are always saying that there is always an effect of this peer pressure. Also, always fighting is so strenuous. It drains us. You get drained because you want to prove. It's very strenuous. You can also relax. People end up taking big credits that they have to be paying to just show off, to be seen, and they suffer. Also, groups can also team against you. People can team up. Societies, we know we are living in different African communities. We have the church community, we have the, I don't know, sports community, we have the Anglophone community, Francophone community. We have different communities in our big community. So these these people teaming up, I want to call mob justice. People team up together against you because you have not delivered what they want. This can really lead also to mental issues and living in denial, of course. So these are some of the things that people suffer from when they have to perform or to cap this spreading of what people want to say about me. So we want our people to relax. Sometimes we see that we are so hardened and we don't understand where this is coming from. A lot of things play a major role. So we want us to relax, to come down to reality of the society we are in, and to be slow, just like this COVID-19 has come and it has really calmed all of us down. The world was going at a very high speed. So let this year, 2020, be a year where we have time to reflect on a number of things. For me, it would have been impossible 2 years ago to come here on Facebook and talk about what people say syndrome, because I was not there. I was so concerned about what people may even say or think about me. Today, I don't really care because I have a standing, I have a direction, and I know who I am. I don't care, or I don't mind the definitions, the names being given to me. These really don't matter. And I have a focus. So we want to empower someone out there who is going maybe through who is suffering from this what people say syndrome, to gather yourself, be courageous, say no to what is you feel is not right for you, and don't have the fear of being mobbed or being put under pressure by anyone, by the church community, by whatever community, by family, by friends, so that you don't live in denial or you don't lead double lives. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very Thank you very much, ma'am. I mean, you've elaborated a lot of the consequences of living in this what would people say syndrome, which is very deadly. We said before now that it's almost a deadly disease because with the things you have listed as the consequences, it can lead to depression, it can lead to isolation, it can lead um you pay taking debt, being in debt, and taking alcohol and all that, which are also at the end again bringing you into confusion. So you lost who you are, you forget who you are, you lost your identity. And now the question will be, now that we know all this and we have been giving the support, we have been telling the people we are there to support the people, it is our responsibility. We have even told our people to hold us responsible because this is our job and we're doing that with all our passions to be able to help the people in the community, give them the information that they need so that they are courageous, strong enough, and to overcome every types of challenges and every types of syndromes. Now, my question will be adding to what Sila said. Sila said something. She said it will be good to have a positive energy, people with positive energy. That could be one of the solutions. Now, as a social worker, ma'am, what is a specific angle or specific offer that we can give to the people step by step to get out of this pressure of the community or of the society?
It wasn't very clear. It was cutting. So please, could you repeat the question again?
The question is, now that we know the effect of this what people say syndrome, we know that it is depressive, it can make you become alcoholic, it can make you live in isolation, it can actually destroy your entire life. The question will be now, how and what are the offers we can offer them as social workers to get out of these syndromes?
I think the first thing that I would recommend is to be open and talk about things openly. And also, if someone comes and appears to you and say you have to do this or you have to become this, you can openly say this. You can say this is your position. You must not justify yourself. Yeah, I don't mean you have to justify yourself, but we need to learn to talk open. If there is a problem, we need to openly talk about it and not to undergo, because it becomes gossip and then you have to want to please and all these things. We have to learn to be also straight. Now, Then when we know something is positive for us, if you think that this is doing you good, then you can really work on that and building around that something that is doing good. Another thing is also to filter. You have to filter who is who. You can't be all over. You can't be with everyone. Filter who is this in your who needs to belong to you. I always tell parents that we have a saying that says that it takes a whole village to educate a child. Now, in the new society we find ourselves, we always have a chance of determining who should belong in our new village. You can decide that I want a teacher maybe to belong in my village. I want this my friend because if I call her at midnight, she's going to respond to me. If I tell her I want 5,000 euro, she's so dear to me, she can give me this 5,000 euro without questioning what I want to do with this money. That's the kind of friend I talk about, because this friend knows that when you get you will never invest your money unwisely, and when you have the money you are going to pay it back. So this is what I mean. So you have a social system that is so strong, that is not shaky. And that's what I say, that we need, yes, a village, but you don't need the whole community. If the community is putting pressure on you, you must not belong. You can say this community is poisonous to me. I have had people talk to me. I've had people, even young people, being raised in this country. Whenever they hear there's a community is offering something, they tell me they have stomach pains because the community has put them under big pressure to perform, so that people will not talk about. So this is what we are talking about. We are not telling people to completely withdraw from the community and to live in loneliness. No, we are talking of anything that is toxic, anything that is making you be who you are not supposed to be. Get rid of it. It's poisonous. It's not right for your personal growth and development. So self empowerment is very important, and please take care of ourselves. We don't need to please anyone else. Let's do things that are doing us good and not that are just pleasing other people. And someone, a Christian, can come and say, yes, we need to love our neighbor. Yes, let's love our neighbor. But if this neighbor is not, the same Bible says also that if the eye is making you sin, get rid of that eye. So please prune and surround yourself with people that are building you and not people that are destroying you. I did not say surround yourself with rich people or people that are giving you money. I said surround yourself with people that are building you. People that building you, that can build you, are not necessarily people giving you money. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That was really brilliant. Thank you so much. I mean, I listed all the points you were saying. We can go again through them so that people who were not there can listen. You said that we should filter who is who. You can't be everywhere for everybody, so to say. I want to also recommend what Cecile said, and she said self-empowerment is also very important, as so as to know your self-worth. And when one knows their worth, whatever is said out there will bounce back to sender. I just like this. It will bounce back to sender. Thank you. And ma'am, you really mentioned something that was very important. You say reject any toxic relationship, because at the end of the day, it is all these relationships that we want to please, we want to get around, that makes us actually do the things that we do not really want to do. And you also said decide who should be part of your village. This was so mind blowing, because actually we know and understand that it's important that the village builds the community, builds up the children, yet we also have the ability to choose who is in our community and who is in our village. This is just mind blowing. Thank you very much. So with that, ma'am, we are coming to rounding. We are rounding up already. So tell us, ma'am, a last word of advice. How do we overcome actually? If you had a young you and you were talking to your young self about what will people see syndrome, what would you tell your young self?
I will tell my young self that what will people say syndrome is actually a gossip. It's nothing, something that doesn't matter, and something that not sway us, something that not move us. We shouldn't say just forget this and move on. Maybe I can add now, not to the young ones, maybe they won't understand this, that this saying we're saying that you can choose or you can create your own village here. We have a chance of building villages without witches because you are choosing now. You know, back in the village, you cannot actually do away with the witches because they belong in that village. But in your own village that you create here in Europe, you can purposely say, I will exclude the witch, and you will have a witch-free village. So these are my last ones, and I want to encourage my people out there to ignore and to just to hear what people are saying and let it come out of this year and keep on focused and be genuine. Don't live in denial, and you're going to make it in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. The time goes always very quick, and of course, we are loving this conversation. Our intention is to help the community. We are not getting any money from this, but we love what we do. We are doing this because we want to help the community. We're doing this because we want to mentor the community. We are doing this because we want to inspire that the community work together, support one another, help one another, grow together, build that village that we desire. And we are doing this because we know it is our responsibility to do this. If any other person is not doing this, we have chosen to do it as social workers. And so we invite you all to support this work. We invite you to be part of this community because you are the community we have chosen. And like Aimee said, even if my people sting, I still love to be with them. And so I leave you with this word: no matter who you are, we love you the way you are. And do not be shy to always contact us if there's anything. And of course, you can always give us your conversation, your own topics, so we can talk that which concerns you. And remember, we are not going to expose who is who because we are under the oath of our profession and you can hold us responsible. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the conversation today. And I say goodbye. Ma'am, any last words?
Thank you very much. Get in touch with us through all the possible social media contacts that have been given on the messenger. Write to us a note on the Facebook, and we will be glad to attend to you. Thank you very much, and see you next week on Tuesday.
Thank you. God bless you. Till then, take good care of yourself. Be safe out there.
Thank you.